Surrender or die, Trump warns. Iran as US-Israel strikes intensify. President Donald Trump issued a stark ultimatum to Iran in a White House address. He called on members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, military, and police to lay down their weapons or face certain death. Once again, I am calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military, and the police to lay down their arms. They are only going to be killed. Now is the time to stand up for the Iranian people and help take back your country. Accept immunity. We will give you immunity, or you will face absolutely guaranteed death. And I don't want to see that, Trump declared. Trump claimed the US military is ahead of schedule, calling the operation a total demolition of the enemy. American forces have destroyed approximately two-thirds of Iran's missiles and launchers. This was part of a massive aerial bombardment campaign. He also claimed Iranian officials had been calling him to negotiate, but said it was now too late. Trump made clear his objective is not full regime change from top to bottom, but rather a targeted decapitation of Iran's leadership, similar to what he described doing in Venezuela. He also threatened Cuba, warning they could be next within weeks. When asked about Mojtaba Khamenei as Iran's next leader, Trump was blunt. Absolutely not. He's a lightweight. This would be unacceptable if that happens. We'll be back at war with Iran in 5 years. Trump stated, I have to be involved in the appointment, like with Delhi in Venezuela, signaling his intent to personally influence who leads Iran after the conflict. He noted that several potential successors had already been identified, adding grimly, the problem is they keep ending up being killed. Inside Tehran, bombings, fear, and defiance as war enters second week. On day 6 of the war, US and Israeli strikes on Iran continued with renewed intensity. Israel officially announced it is now moving into the next phase of its military campaign, one focused on further dismantling the Iranian regime and its military capabilities. The skies above Tehran lit up once again as explosions rocked the capital. Even before the smoke cleared, Iranian flags were draped across destroyed buildings. A visible act of defiance by those who remained. The targets in many cases were not entirely clear, with strikes landing in crowded residential areas, near police stations, government offices, and security force housing. The Azadi Sports Complex in West Tehran was among the sites destroyed. Israel claimed the facility had been used as a gathering and resting point for regime forces. Ordinary Iranians shared their fears with BBC's Persian service. I don't know what will happen. The only thing I know is that I absolutely don't want anything to do with the clerics. I think most people feel the same way, said one resident. Another described being trapped at home. I have to stay inside to avoid getting caught in the middle of an attack. The sound of ongoing blasts is exhausting. They hit places near our house, a police station, and a passage base. From what I can see, everyone is relieved in some way, though deeply stressed by the sounds. Iran's government attempted to project calm, with an official stating, "We did not start this war. This was not our war of choice. We were attacked. The aggressors are responsible for the consequences, but the consequences continue to mount." According to the Red Crescent Society, nearly 800 people have been killed. The United States says more than 2,000 military targets have been struck. Meanwhile, Iran's clerics and commanders are reportedly selecting a new supreme leader to guide the country through what many are calling an existential crisis. Iranians flee at Turkish border. There is no safety for nobody. As bombs continue to fall on Iranian cities, thousands of Iranians are fleeing the country. BBC correspondent James Waterhouse reported from the town of Kapikoy on the Turkey-Iran border, where desperate families crossed into safety, some with plans to return, others unsure if they ever could. One man, emotional and exhausted, said, "War is not fine at all." He explained that his family still had a return ticket and planned to go back as soon as the fighting stopped. "This is our home," he said. Another refugee described the horror of what was left behind. "They attack all the city, even 200 meters from our home. There is no safety for nobody, not even for us." A young woman expressed frustration at both sides of the conflict. "I'm so upset about both sides. Iran and the US. Both of them can't even speak to each other. So embarrassing." One man, visibly grieving, spoke of his lost leader. "I feel lots of sorrow for my country. We have lost a very great leader. I'm going back to Iran. I know everything on the ground, not through the media. It is terrifying." Waterhouse noted that despite Trump's calls for Iranians to revolt against their government, the testimonies gathered at the border told a more complicated story. Many refugees expressed fear of reprisal simply for criticizing the leadership, even after crossing into Turkey. Meanwhile, Iran continued to strike back at neighboring countries hosting US military bases. Waves of Iranian missiles were fired at the Israeli city of Tel Aviv within the last hour, with Israel's air defense systems engaging them. Iranian forces confirmed the use of a cluster missile in the attack on Tel Aviv. The use of cluster munitions is prohibited under international convention, though Iran has not signed that treaty. Azerbaijan reported drone strikes on one of its airports and vowed to retaliate against what its president called a terrorist Iranian drone strike. The United Arab Emirates said it intercepted 6 Iranian missiles and 131 drones in a single day. Though 1 missile and 6 drones did land on its territory. Emergency missile alerts were sent to residents and visitors in Dubai throughout the day. Is the US-Israel war on Iran legal? International law under the spotlight. The US-Israel military campaign against Iran has now entered its 6th day, and serious legal questions are mounting over whether the strikes are justified under international law. In just 6 days, the United States and Israel have carried out more than 2,000 strikes on Iran. The supreme leader has been killed. Dozens of top Iranian officials are dead. Iran's navy has been largely destroyed. But legal experts and international bodies are asking, was any of it lawful? President Trump has argued that the objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats. However, the US has provided no specific evidence of what those imminent threats were. Analysts note that while America's military buildup in the region signaled a likely conflict, there was no indication Iran was planning a first strike. 23 years ago, the United States took its case for war against Iraq to the United Nations Security Council. This time, no such effort was made. The United Nations has stated that countries may only use military force against another nation in self-defense or with explicit UN authorization. Legal experts are clear. Neither condition appears to have been met here. The attack against Iran by the United States and Israel constitutes an armed aggression, the most serious violation of international law. There is a prohibition on the use of force in international relations. It is the foundation of the modern international legal system, and the exceptions to it are very narrow. Trump also cited Iran's nuclear program as justification. But analysts note that despite ongoing tensions and failed diplomatic talks, no credible evidence suggests Iran was on the verge of developing a nuclear weapon. Iran's retaliatory strikes have themselves raised legal concerns, hitting hotels, energy facilities, civilian airports, and populated areas across the Gulf region, in what critics call reckless and indiscriminate attacks. As one legal expert summarized, Article 51 of the UN Charter gives a right to preemptive action in such, but there doesn't appear to be any sound basis for it here. The United States hasn't really invoked it. It has simply decided it has had enough of Iran and is going to bomb them into submission. The conflict, it appears, is running on its own set of rules, with international law left on the sidelines.